We'll walk through it as we always do our deep dive, process it, and figure out how we can save the world. Y'all know the agenda. All right, so let's share it. And we are ready to go. And once again, if you're just joining, please make sure that you like for the algorithm. That's going to help as many different people get into this room as possible. We need more perspectives, all right? That's real DEI, diversity of thought. Diversity of thought and perspectives, all right? Not just identity diversity, but actually real diversity that's going to help us get to where we need to get to. So let's take a look at this interesting story.
Independent candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. will not be on New York's ballot if this ruling stands. He was kicked off after a judge ruled that his petition to appear on the state's presidential election ballot is invalid, claiming he used an incorrect address to maintain his residency there. Now,
what are we, 20 seconds in? Yeah, I can't help but stop the video right here because I want to kind of set the tone and see if you guys are feeling the same thing that I'm feeling. When you see two big boys, big girls, whatever you want to call it, when you see two massive entities, one being the Democratic Party, the other being the Republican Party, going so far to eliminate a candidate, what does that say to you? When you go so far, we're supposed to live in a democracy. We are supposed to be living in a democracy. Matter of fact, what is the definition of democracy? Maybe we need to take a second and look up the definition of democracy. 1 second. Democracy definition. Let's see. A system of government by the whole population or all the eligible members of a state, typically through elected representatives. So, a system of government by the whole population through elected representatives. These representatives are supposed to represent us. They're supposed to represent us, the things that we want, not represent this huge corporation or this huge hedge fund or this huge. They're supposed to represent the people. And when you have the Republican Party as well as the Democratic Party doing all this extra stuff just to eliminate us from even knowing who RFK Jr. is, just to eliminate us having the opportunity to maybe say, hey, RFK Jr. sounds like a guy that I would like to support. Therefore, we would love to see him on the ballot. Where's the competitive integrity? Where's the integrity from a standpoint? Like imagine just competing in any area. I don't care whether it's the spelling bee and you're in elementary school, and because you know somebody may be a better speller than you collude to try to get them in trouble for something that they did at lunchtime a year ago. And now you think that they should be in detention during the spelling bee. So therefore, that's just one less competitor that you'll have to actually deal with. Like what? Like I just don't understand how people don't get furious or at least wake up to understand what's happening. Everybody complains about this two-party system, or a lot of people complain. And it's become more and more relevant when it was Biden versus Trump, because a lot of people were saying this is the first time in history that so many of the American people are disappointed in the candidates being rolled out to us. And then we see what's going on with the RFK Jr., or we choose not to see it because we don't want to do our due diligence and we just want to be lazy and just sit back and say, oh, well, you know, he's not going to have a chance, or I don't need to learn more about him. And you come up with all these reasons. And then we end up in the very same position that we're in now, continuing to vote for what? The lesser of two evils, continuing to convince ourselves that the major party candidates, the nominees, are the best that America has to offer. Why do we allow this? It has to be on us. And we're going to get into this a little bit more with the Ricky Smiley conversation. But when it comes down to it, like I was listening to something earlier, and it just reminded me that, like when people like to say, oh, your ancestors died for the right for you to vote. I sit back and wonder, looking at the people that live in this world now, that if things just cycle through, that if slavery just ran its course in time, that it had nothing to do with people revolting. It's like I think back on that, and the only reason I think back on that is because look at the average person right now. Nobody has any type of fighting spirit when it comes to integrity, when it comes to the morals and the principles that we're supposed to live by. Nobody cares. We convince ourselves that we don't matter. We convince ourselves that we can't make a huge difference in society, that we can't change and solve any of these problems. We just convince ourselves of this. And I just sit back and think, I'm like, well, is this how it always has been? Like, just the majority of people, the 99% of people are just sheep and just go with the flow and just, status quo and, don't want to get in trouble, don't want to upset massa, all that. Because everybody complains, but nobody actually wants to do anything about it. Everybody complains and is obsessed with the news and is obsessed with what's going on in this country and obsessed with what's going on throughout the world as far as it pertains to our involvement. But nobody actually wants to do anything about it. And then getting back to an RFK, when you look at what's happening with him, it's like, yo, we won't even take a stand and say, just out of spite of what y'all are doing for RFK, doing to RFK to prevent him from being in the race, now I may become a supporter. At the very least, I'm going to look into the things that he's actually saying. But what does it go back to? It goes back to our mindset that we do not want to do any extra work. We want to pledge our allegiance to religions and not have to do any of the reading of the actual scripture. We want to pledge our allegiance to these political parties and not have to actually do any due diligence or not have to get out of our comfort zone at all and maybe do something different in order to get a different result rather than doing the same thing and sitting back and expecting, because it's the right thing, us to get a different result. We just, I don't know what it is. We do not have a fighting spirit. We do not have a fighting spirit. And it's like life just breaks us. It just breaks us and convinces us that we're not important, that we're not godly beings. It's the same thing with the 2025 project. This is the worst thing. This is so terrible. They're trying to, but nobody reads it. It's the same. So I don't know. Sorry to get on that, go off on that tangent, but I just don't understand. I do not understand how we are not pissed off. And this is the type of thing I'll vote for. Even if I wasn't, I actually do believe that RFK has the best mentality and the best skill set and the best personality to run the country. I actually do believe that. And he has a track record of it. But just out of spite of somebody finessing me, let's say if one group is trying to do something to eliminate me from having the ability to vote for a candidate, I tell you, I'm the type, man, listen, you pretty much, now you got my support. What's up? But I don't know. I guess we just don't see it like that. Let's keep going.
In response to the state Supreme Court Justice Christina Ryba's ruling, RFK Jr. took to X, posting, quote, "This case is an assault on New York voters who signed in record numbers to place me on their ballot. The DNC has become a party that uses lawfare in place of the democratic election process. We will appeal and we will win."
So he's actually, I didn't realize that he was just identifying the Democratic Party. I guess that the DNC, the Democratic National Convention, I believe that's who he's referring to. The DNC has become a party that uses lawfare in place of the democratic election process. We can't say that he's wrong. If you choose to be naive, I'm trying to use a nice word. That's nicer than saying ignorant, right? If you choose to be naive and to act as if the Democratic Party did not strategically wait until there couldn't be an open primary, and just so they can shuffle whoever they wanted in, being Kamala, if you choose to believe that, oh yeah, no, they just realized, like after this Trump debate, it just, we probably should go a different direction. If you really believe that, then cool. If you choose to convince yourself of that, then cool. You're probably the type of person that's never going to change how you think about anything. That just is what it is. If you choose to believe that, then I'm really not even speaking to you, because I think that is pointless. But for all the others that see what's going on, how does this not bother you? How does How does when they always say that, oh, your ancestors fought for this? Yeah, didn't the entire country fight for this country to be a democracy? So if the entire country fought for this country to be a democracy, if all of these people want to come into this country and risk their lives to get into this country because it's a democracy, shouldn't that be the standard that the actual Democratic Party is held to? I'm just asking. I don't understand. Like, this is like bully games. The Democratic Party is supposed to be for the people, right? For the little guy. But you see that they're only for the little guy when they need to convince you not to vote for the big bad racist Republicans. But in all actuality, when there's a little guy who's smaller than them in their mindset, they're trying to bully them, squash him, and do the very same thing that they claim that the Republican Party does to the rest of the population. That seems weird to me.
Now, the RFK Jr. has lived much of his adult life in New York, but moved to Los Angeles to support his wife Cheryl Hines' acting career. Per his lawyers, he's planning on moving back to New York after she finishes with that.
Democratically led Political Action Committee Clear Choice, comprised of New York residents, challenged Kennedy's residence in the state, maintaining his campaign had used a false address on the tens of thousands of nominating petitions. Monday's ruling could have a trickle-down effect in other states where the independent candidate has already secured a spot on the ballot. As of Friday, he was on the ballot in 19 states, including the critical battleground states of Michigan and North Carolina. The Bobby Kennedy campaign has submitted petitions or filed for third-party status in more than 20 others, New York included. He has until Thursday to appeal this decision, which his legal team signaled it will do, including filing a lawsuit in a federal court in Manhattan.
So this is...
Yeah, and they're going to explain it a little bit. My understanding is that clearly he's not running for anything where he has to live in New York. So this is just like one of these technicality issues, or it doesn't even matter. Like, it doesn't even matter. Like, he got the signatures and you guys are trying to say that he can't be on the ballot because he's not living at that particular.
It's very bad. It's insane. Let's be clear here. It's not, he doesn't need to live in New York to be on the ballot in New York. That would be crazy. He's not running for like senator of New York or like a Congress seat in New York. He's running for president of the United States. He's trying to secure access to the ballot in all of the states. So this isn't about like whether he lives in the district or something like that, which is a question sometimes when people seek Congress. It's just he listed as his address, a New York address, that his mail gets sent there, he's for other legal reasons is there. To be clear, it should not matter whether his technical address is in LA or in New York for whether he can be on the ballot in New York. He should be on the ballot in New York.
How do y'all feel about this? Like, how do y'all feel about hearing this? How does it, matter of fact, if you are a registered Democrat, I have to ask, if you are a registered Democrat and your party is doing this to RFK Jr., how do you feel about this? How do you feel that your gang is going out there doing all this foul activity in the name of your gang? Right? How do we feel about that?
New York and California and Texas and Michigan and Pennsylvania and Ohio and Idaho and every other state the way that every other candidate or the other major candidates are. Now, they don't have to do as much work because they're part of major party infrastructures. He's an independent candidate, so he has to spend money and recruit people to sign petitions to place him on the ballot in all the states, and he's doing that, and it's very difficult, but he's doing it. This is a blow to our democracy to have this judge try to prevent you, the people, we the people, I'm one of the people, I guess, from voting for this candidate at a time when we're told democracy is at stake and that the Democrats are the one that is going to rescue democracy from Trump. They're the people trying to keep him off the ballot. It's sick.
It's funny that the PAC is called Clear Choice, Robbie. They're only giving the people one choice. That's why the choice
Yeah.
is clear.
Yeah, they want to make sure the choice is very clear. It's not a choice.
As clear
Good
as
point.
possible.
Clear as crystal.
It's ridiculous. Obviously, he stays with his girlfriend in California, but that doesn't mean it's his legal residence or his house.
His wife, right? They're married.
I move around all the time. My home is technically in North Carolina, but I've been in D.C. doing this show for the past month and flying to Iowa on the weekends. This is how the world is when people can travel freely.
I just, we're going to leave that here. I just don't understand it. I just don't understand it. I just, you know what I really wish? I really wish that people thought more of themselves. I wish that people really realized the godly potential that we all have. And I kind of just say that, and I hate to just throw it out there because some people probably just don't truly grasp what I'm saying. But if we decide to make an impact, then we can make an impact. And it doesn't even make sense to me. It's like we feel that it's damn near making an impact. You ever see one of these, I always say Cowboys fans. Let's look at these Giants fans. You ever see a Giants fan, they watch the game, yell at the TV, wear another player's jersey that they don't know, never met, doesn't care about them, anything like that. But they feel that they need to be watching that game because it's impacting their team. They really feel that. They feel that them watching that game, and hey, I'm big on energy. So therefore, I'm probably with them. I'm with them. Energy. You putting that out into the universe. So maybe, yeah, I'm with that. I'm actually with that. But why do we not have that same energy when it comes to something like this? Why do we not feel that the conversations that we have amongst our friends and our families when we're pushing things like this, why do we not think that, oh, okay, if I think like this, then maybe my brother feels like this. Maybe my sister feels like this. Maybe I can get my whole family on board with this. And then maybe when we're going outside to our jobs or going out to our communities, our friend groups, whatever, the YMCA, wherever we go, maybe those conversations will then be generated. You kind of just, it keeps getting pushed outward. And then it can eventually become a thing that gets some momentum, becomes normalized, and people are asking questions or at least understanding what's going on with a candidate like RFK. So I don't know. We're going to move on to the next